I nominate my brother. Hold on. Wait, I want to do this.
I'm fine. You're the one that's laughing.
I demand a trial by combat, and I reserve the right to have a champion, same as you. I nominate my brother, Jaime Lannister.
The Kingslayer is hundreds miles from here.
Send a raven for him. I'm happy to wait.
The trial will be today.
Do I have a volunteer? And then our intro hits, and then it goes, hello!
Welcome to the Roller and the Stroller podcast. I'm Josiah the Roller, and I was born with cerebral palsy and use a wheelchair.
And I'm Kelly the Stroller. On this podcast, we discuss living with a disability, adapting to surroundings in a wheelchair, and the adventures of our interabled friendship.
Join us as we give insight on how to enjoy life with a disability
And share advice on how to understand someone with a disability.
This is the Roller and the Stroller podcast, produced by Sidewallstudios.
Hello, and welcome back to the Roller and the Stroller. My name is Josiah. I am your resident roller, and I'm here with Kelly. Say hello to the people.
Hello, I'm Kelly. I'm the Stroller. Please explain the intro today, because I'm still really confused as to why you made me do that.
So that is from the series Game of Thrones, and that's when Tyrion demands a trial by combat. Okay, and that leads us nicely into today's topic. All the times I've dealt with some trial and error throughout my life.
Trial and error, as if like maybe you, for instance, last episode we talked about the parking placard. Right?
Yes.
So that was a trial and error situation where you tried to get it and it errored.
Where I erred so badly.
But you learned from it. So we thought after that episode, we discussed, hey, there are way more situations like the parking placard where you've tried something and it failed. You learned from it. You learned from that error and you grew from it.
And then I tried again.
Yeah. You
with
dusted
success.
yourself off and tried again.
To kind of illustrate that, I have a story. And in my family, this is known as the bacon incident. I was younger growing up, and my siblings and I were homeschooled for part of our schooling. So it was me and a couple of my brothers were at home. My mom was gone. Everybody else was gone. My sisters was gone. And I wanted to have some bacon. Now, I did not grow up in an accessible house, a wheelchair accessible house. All of my other siblings can walk, and so we did not grow up in an accessible house. That means that our microwave was up high, kind of like at work where it was up high. I could reach it, but I had to get up on my knees and reach as far as I could in order to hit the button and get the food out. So this is called the bacon incident because I wanted some bacon. I cooked the bacon, and then I tried to get up to the microwave and push the button, and then I was reaching my hand into the microwave to get the plate out. I slowly reached and I was like dragging it, and then it was like tipping because I was able to grab the edge, and all of the bacon grease spilled out on my head, and I had a burn mark. I don't know if I have the scar still on my head.
I'm looking at
But
you.
it happened when I was like 10.
Stop flexing your eyebrows for a sec. I don't see anything.
It might have gone away. But I had like a real burn mark where it was like my skin had come off of my forehead.
Ew. That's terrible.
And I did not feel it.
How old? What? Wait. What? How'd you not feel it?
I did not feel anything. And then my mom got home and was like, what happened to your head? I was like, what do you mean? And then she was like, you have this mark on top of your head. Like the skin is off. And I was like, what are you talking about? And it was like out in the sun, and I was like, it started to burn. I was like, oh no.
I'm flabbergasted by this. How did you not know you burned your skin off?
I don't know.
That's like a 3rd-degree burn.
I know, and it should have hurt so bad.
Wait, if you pinch your forehead, do you feel anything? Maybe you don't have any feeling.
Not really.
Strange.
But it just felt like wetness. I didn't feel any burn.
Burn.
But it should have hurt.
Yeah, dude.
And then I was like, okay. She was like, what were you doing? What were you trying to do? And I was like, oh, earlier today I was cooking some bacon. and she was like, don't do that again where your siblings around. And then that showed me, like, number one, my stubbornness. Number two, my determination. But in order to avoid that situation, because even though it didn't, like, hurt in the moment necessarily, I knew I had to avoid that situation in the future. So I had to, like, modify the way that I accessed the microwave. So that taught me to climb counters a different way, or get a stool, or get a chair, or, like, get a booster seat, and, like, find a different way to access the microwave or the microwave.
Microwave, yeah. I was thinking that the whole time.
So that I didn't burn myself.
I don't think that makes you stubborn wanting bacon.
Yeah, well, because I could. Bacon is delicious.
It slaps.
But I was just, like, stubborn and determined to do it myself.
When bacon calls, there's no delay.
Yeah, there's no
mean?
denying. When bacon calls, there's no denying.
But anyway, the trial, you got grease, third-degree burn on your head.
The trial was, and it hurt after she pointed that out.
Because it's there.
Because it's the like, what do they call that effect?
I know. I don't know what it's called, but I know what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
So through trial and error, I was able to access the microwave and not get burned.
Yeah.
Got him.
You know.
And so today we're going to go through similar situations to the bacon incident. Some of them we have been together.
Yes. My first trial and error situation with you was at work. I didn't really know you too well yet, but I think we were, like, starting to become pretty close friends. Mm-hmm. But I noticed that in the morning at work, you would roll around with your coffee cup in between your knees. And I would notice that you would spill coffee on your pants a lot. Not your fault, just when you're wheeling around and making turns with a full cup of coffee, it's going to fall.
Yes.
And luckily for you, you can't really feel too much in your legs.
But they can still get burned.
Yeah, just like your head. Wow, both of these stories.
See?
Both of these stories have you getting burned.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I noticed, you were holding this cup of coffee in between your knees, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy him. There has to be some sort of cup holder that we can fasten to his wheelchair. Mm-hmm. And so I went out on a limb without asking you. I didn't ask you for, like, advice, which I probably should have, because this is where I made my mistake. I went on Amazon and I bought a pretty hardcore cup holder, but it was plastic. It wasn't like a flimsy plastic though, but it was still plastic, which is not what you needed. So I gave it to you and you used it for maybe a week.
Yeah, because it broke.
No, I know it broke, but you used it for a week.
Yeah.
And then one day I noticed that you didn't have it anymore and you're holding your coffee cup in between your knees. And I was like, damn, he really didn't like my gift. Like, maybe I don't know, maybe I dropped the ball on that one. And I was like, just like nonchalantly, but like honestly, my feelings were kind of hurt. And I was like, where's your, what happened to your, I think I even maybe joked like, oh, you're too good to use the cup holder or whatever. And you're like, you didn't tell me until I questioned you about it. And you were like, I broke it. And I was like, really? You had it for like a week? And you said you broke it. And my immediate thought was like you were being careless, but I would like you to tell people how it actually broke.
So the plastic cup holder, which, thank you very much. I told you that at the time.
You did.
And then, but I'm telling you now again, very kind, very sweet. But it was like jutting out on the side of my wheelchair. I have this little orange part that holds my foot plate, and then we were able to attach it there. So that wasn't a problem. The problem was when I was in between doorways or trying to get in between doorways, and it couldn't be budged or moved. So I would hit it on the doorways and hit it on the counter and hit it on chairs. I would hit it on my face probably. And then it snapped off one day when I hit the doorway.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no.
I think you said you were going from the front desk to the printer or something, and you hit that little wall that sits that juts
and it was
out.
just like
yeah, and it like snapped in half, and it was pretty sturdy plastic, but that
it took a beating.
It did. That week and a half just
and then because I couldn't move it
right
and like adjust it. The one I have now is made for wheelchairs.
So I was like, oh, that sucks. And I didn't buy you another one. And then when I met Mason,
Yes.
if you guys haven't listened to our episode with Mason about how he became paralyzed and a wheelchair user, go listen to it. It's one of our most listened to episodes.
Yes.
I saw he had a cup holder and I was like, oh, where'd you get that? Like, that is exactly what Josiah needs. And then when you two met, when I introduced the two of you, I think I pointed it out. And I was like, Josiah, look at his.
Yeah, so it's like a bag cup holder.
Yeah.
And it's movable, it's adjustable, it's Velcro rather than plastic snappies.
Yeah.
And then I can fold it in when I'm going into doorways and stuff like that, or tight spaces. And then when I need it, when the cup is in it, I can fold it out.
So instead of a plastic, the trial and error of the plastic, it became a fabric cup holder.
Yes.
And I think Mason said he got it. It's not like it's not meant specifically made for wheelchairs. I think it's made for four-wheeling.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. And that works out great for you.
Yeah, but we had to know that a plastic one that was not movable was not going to work.
Yeah.
First. And we tried that out.
We sure did.
And we erred.
We erred hardcore.
And then we have the one that works.
We do. Well, you do. I don't, but you do.
So I have a cup holder now that works for my chair.
And you use it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Because similar to you, I didn't want to burn my legs or burn my hands.
Right.
Or burn the inside of my legs.
Well, also you need your arms to roll.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to put the cup down.
Yeah, but I have a lot of things in my lap that I can hold in my lap.
All right, give me another example.
So, and then the next example I have, is the times my wheelchair broke. This is a circumstance that happened at work, but it was really snowy. It was during the winter, and I was being dropped off my ride. And then at the time, my wheelchair, Priscilla, had plastic handlebars. And then when it gets really cold, can freeze. And then as soon as you put any pressure on it, that weakens them, and then they're prone to snapping, which is exactly what happened because the ramp to get to the office was covered in a snowdrift. So our boss at the time had to pop me up onto a wheelie, and then the handlebars just went ping ping, and they snapped off. And so I did not have handlebars for many, many moons.
You can ride your bike with no handlebars.
Yeah, I was trying to do that, but I was like, but now they're like sharp edges and everything.
Yeah.
So it can cut people. And then I was like, I don't want to do that. And then what I've learned with Fury is instead of having plastic ones that are kind of flimsy, freezable, and therefore breakable, to have metal ones, sturdier ones. So they come out through metal bars instead of a plastic bar. And then they're grippable because they're metal. So that's what I've learned with Fury and Priscilla, is to have different handlebars to adjust to the climate of Colorado.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Shout out to Key. Yeah, I'm going to call you out like that. She still feels so bad about breaking your wheelchair.
Well,
she didn't mean to do it. She was trying to help you. And if I were in her position, I would have done the same thing.
And they probably would have broken.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Shout out Key.
And then
we
were like, oops. But then I was like,
were you guys laughing or what?
But no, I was laughing. And then I was like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What do we? And then we also worked where we worked. And we didn't make a bunch of money. So.
It do be like that sometimes.
It do be like that.
Okay.
And then, I don't know if you wanted to speak on these two subjects, but the times my wheelchair broke and I was with you.
So why don't you talk about St. Louis?
Yeah, we were at the zoo, and then we
always in St. Louis for some reason, and we're going back apparently in a few months.
Something happened.
Okay.
And then we could go back, but we were at the zoo, and all of a sudden so I have a brake bar in front of the wheel, and I just press down on the brake bar, and then that turns my brakes on. What happened in St. Louis is they just went ping ping and shifted to the side, and then the side of my wheels, they shifted so much to the side that they were blocking me from wheeling. Usually when this happens, I can just pick it up and bend it back into place. For some reason on this day, it was not budging. And so we found a random nice man on the street who had some tools and was very close by and was able to like unscrew it and then adjust the brake and then like put the brake back on, tighten it back up, and then I could wheel again.
Mm-hmm.
But if we didn't meet that nice man, I would have been screwed, and therefore you would have been screwed, because guess what? I was a dummy and didn't bring any tools with me. I have learned through trial and error I should probably have a multi-tool with me because that could happen again. And something else happened in St. Louis where we were at the arch and then the screw was digging into my front wheels. And so I couldn't wheel my front wheels. And so, again, that reinforces the fact I should have a tool. And now I do.
Shout out to the St. Louis guy.
Yes.
So the next time that happened was actually quite recently. We went for a hike, I think.
Yes, we were doing a CP Day photo shoot.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you remember.
Yeah, we were doing it. There's this park that we always go to for that photo shoot. It had just snowed, I think, like a week earlier. And so it was, when the mud dried, it dried bumpy and jagged. And so to get to the lookout that we were going to, you kind of had to go through that hard, jaggedy pathway. And everything was fine. I was pushing you the whole way. And then I don't remember what happened, but I think we both were like, something's wrong with your chair.
I think you noticed it at first because the front wheels were going shopping cart effect where they were going.
Yeah. And I like couldn't push you straight.
Yeah.
So I had to like lean you back so your front wheels were off of the ground and push you with just your back wheels.
But then that's a lot of like
muscle
torque on you.
Yeah, it sucked. But
Yes.
we did it. It's fine. We got the photos.
We did it. We got the photos.
And then I figured, your front wheels are probably just gone crazy because of the jagged pathway. But then when we got back to the parking lot, you noticed right away that they were not going straight.
Yeah.
Or something was wrong. Like one was bent inwards or something. I can't remember.
Yes. And it was that was a torque issue where they weren't torqued tight enough to provide the proper balance. So one was very loose and then the other one was kind of loose. So that was
They moved.
in balance. Yeah, they moved. So we had to move them back, kind of torque them up again. But I couldn't do it.
So I asked you when we got back, I said, do you have tools? And you were like, no. And we went to like a haunted house. No, we went to an escape room.
We went to an escape room.
And then after the escape room, I forgot about the escape room.
Yeah.
After the escape room, we had to go to Ace Hardware to find the right tool to fit. It was a certain size Allen wrench.
Yes.
But we spent like an hour in Ace Hardware. You were out of your chair sitting on the aisle trying all these different tools. The Ace Hardware guy was trying to help me find a tool. My mom was there. It was just a party. It was a party at Ace Hardware. But it took us a while to find the right tool, and it also took you a while to balance it correctly and then put the wheels like parallel.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying.
And then
Match up the wheels.
it was like not only that, but I couldn't get enough torque if I did it by hand. So we had to go to a bike shop and get a torque wrench to do that. That's something I learned.
Yeah.
It's like I need the proper torque.
So that was an interesting day. A hike, an escape room, Ace Hardware, and Criterion Bike Shop.
Yes.
Which we did post on our Instagram stories, if you guys ever saw it. If you didn't,
it's in our archives.
that's on you.
Well, yeah, that's on you, homie. That's on you. So all of that to say, like, trial and error. The solution is obviously to get tools, to use tools.
And I have tools now. I bought multiple of that size Allen wrench to keep in my truck and my car.
Yes.
In case you forget yours. Now let me ask you, do you have the tools in your wheelchair right now?
I do not have them with me, but I have them at my home.
Interesting.
Why are you calling me out like that?
Because I just know. I know.
Interesting.
Trial and error, but carry the tools.
Still error on my part. But the solutions are there in front of me. Whether I take them or not is a different story.
True.
So those are some of the times that my wheelchair has broken. Not to mention tubes and flat tires. I do have some extra tubes now because my tires be going flat sometimes when I run over some things. But those are some of the things you have to learn. And like, I wouldn't even think of having a spare tube or a spare tire until I needed it. The tube that Fury requires is a very specific tube. So I had to buy many of that tube.
Many of the tubes. Yeah.
Many of the tube. I kind of feel like my life is a trial and error thing.
Sure. Everyone's is.
You know?
Yeah.
You have to dust yourself up,
And try
dust
again.
yourself off, and get up. You know that Cardi B song where she's like, knock me down 9 times, but I get up 10?
Yeah.
You know? That song. That's kind of how I feel.
What's that one song? When the world... I'll think of it.
What?
And
And so we've kind of already touched on a lot of these topics, but the way I carry laundry baskets is different because I have to get them in the proper position on my lap. The way I carry trash bags or do my dishes or do some laundry or hang up my lights.
I hang up your light.
I know.
By the way, the song is by Carrie Hilson and Neo, and it's called Knock You Down.
Oh.
Sometimes love comes around and it knocks you down. Just get back up when it knocks you down.
Dude, that song is actually a jam.
It's good.
And then Neo's part starts with pimp ship.
Does it?
I used to be commander-in-chief of my pimp ship flying high.
Y'all go ahead. I think I'm going to kick it with my girl today.
I used to be commander-in-chief of my pimp ship flying high until I met this pretty little woman.
Oh.
Shot me out the sky. Yeah, you know. We've talked about the bacon incident and we've talked about chores and how I've kind of had to adjust and modify the way I do things, and it's taught me a lot about patience, and it's probably taught you about patience to some degree. But it's like how I have to like live my life, and we can also talk about transfers, how I transfer in and out of the chair. I drop the bathroom routine, so that's how I transfer in and out of the toilet, and then up into the shower and all that stuff. So it's kind of just my whole life has been some trial and error things of like how in my body am I able to do these things. So I want to talk about wheelchair modifications because we've talked about the cup holder and how that helps me. We've talked about the handlebars, how they're now metal versus plastic, but I've also have like clothing guards and I just ripped those off because they didn't help me and they actually affected my pushing because I was like hitting them with my elbows and then I didn't get enough momentum. So I had to find a way to position not only my seat cushion but my body to figure out a way to not get my clothes dirty. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
We talked about seatbelts. I don't really wear my seatbelt, but
You don't.
I have it and it's no longer rainbow. Shout out to my first one. And then we talked about like the seat cushion, how I was able to visit the wheelchair manufacturer and get one that's fitted to me and my body. So that's something different and I've had to have life experience with in order to know what's the most comfortable. And then we talked about like to some degree the foot plate and body positioning as well. So all of these things are like modifications that I have made to my wheelchair that is custom made to me. For me to have the best life in a wheelchair that I could possibly have. I learn through trial and error. I also want to talk about the training wheels, which are the mini wheels in the back of the wheelchair.
Okay.
They're anti-tipping wheels. Those are off of my wheelchair now because I am an experienced rider, baby. Let's go. But they have anti-tipping wheels, which are mini wheels that help you from tipping all the way back and getting a concussion.
Yeah, but just because someone has them doesn't mean they're not an experienced wheelchair user.
I know, but they're used. They're they're mainly for kids, and then there are some adult ones.
We saw 2 people with some, and they were speedy. They were fast.
But they're also weapons.
They're weapons.
I hope you know that, because they're detachable, and then you can use them.
Dude, you need to get some.
What are you laughing at?
You need some pegs so I can ride on the back of your wheelchair, but he still won't do it. I talked about that at the very beginning of season 1, and you still won't do it.
I didn't say I wouldn't.
You said no multiple teams.
You just have to pay for them. I ain't got that money.
Also, I'd be scared to break your wheelchair.
Kelly, what is your musical recommendation for today?
So I really struggled today because I was like, what the hell do I want to do? But I decided I'm going to go with The Transition by our dear friends Hawthorne Heights, which we just saw recently at the Ogden, and we'll talk about that experience in our concerts part 3. So I'm going to go with The Transition by Hawthorne Heights because I think trial and error is a lot of transition and everybody has to go through it. So it's a good transition.
You know what? I'm going to go knock you down. Carrie Hilson, Neo, and Kanye West.
Oh, Kanye was this?
Yeah, he's the last part.
Oh, okay.
Because I used to be commander-in-chief of my pimp ship flying high until I met this pretty little thing, shot me out the sky. Sometimes life knocks you down, but you gotta get back up, and it knocks you down.
And keep going. Yep.
Okay.
Shout out to that song that I totally forgot existed till today, this episode.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
To the roller and the stroller.
Bye.
He's the roller on the stroller. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Roller and the Stroller podcast. We're rolling out.
This is a Sidewall Studios production.
Boom! Oh, we should keep that moving.